Well, living about 150 feet from the railroad down in the center of the village, we'd hear the work trains down there, and of course we'd hear other trains, but we were drifted down to the railroad area, especially if they had the work train working. That'd be the big hook, which re-railed cars at re-wrecks, but there was machinery had to be transferred from one car to another sometimes, a kind of a bad order car, which meant it had to be repaired and it might take a few days, so they'd transfer this stuff. And we'd hear them and down we'd go, because they always had a dining car there, and we were offered food, which we were always hungry, you know, and they'd give us apple pies or a pork chop or whatever they were cooking in the diner. They'd offer. And once in a while, engineer, if we knew him, he would invite us up into the switcher, up in the steam engine, which we were all, of course, overwhelmed to be up there, you know, the fire in the firebox and the smell of oil, grease. It's always slippery up there. But, which I wanted to be an engineer, but, you know, my thoughts of being an engineer someday, but they got passed over. So I became a freight man, you know, worked in the yard, and then I finally went out on the road in 1953. I started going across the bridge around October 8th. My first trip across, I went to Danbury and back. And New York State had a law that you had to have an extra brakeman on the job, of the road jobs. That was my morning of October 3rd. They had the bad derailment in East Walden, where 56 cars spilled. And of course that shut down the line. So now I want to get back home. So I got on a train and went far as Danbury on a train called N07, which come to Danbury. And at Danbury, a place called Berkshire Junction, they had set off a bunch of cars which had to come to Maybrook. So anyway, I got far as Danbury, and then there was another train called N09, came along about 7 or 8, well, about 7 o'clock at night, 6:30. And I got on that train, got far as Poughkeepsie. Well, I couldn't go no further, so I called up home. And my wife came to Highland to pick me up. Now I'm walking across that bridge with my lantern, and once in a while the boards would move a little bit, and I'll tell you, I was walking with the lantern down by onto the boards, make sure I was doing okay, and I got to Highland. But in the middle of the bridge, I threw over some tie plates. Sorry, I was out there, it had to be in the 50s, early 60s. I was a conductor on a work train, and we were working over the land on the east side and the river in that area where it caught a fire, really, now in that area. And this was on a Monday, and the bridge and builders were replacing new ties. The ties were about 15 inches thick, or maybe more. Then they had cutouts in to fit over the girders, so they wouldn't move, you know. So on the work train, we had the little dinky derricks that lift up the ties, you know, and put them in the gondolas and get rid of them a certain distance. This went on all week. And then you had the men that worked on the bridge, 7 or 8 or 9 of them fellas, plus the bridge and builders would come from Maybrook and Danbury, converge on that bridge to do this work. Anyway, it was a Monday morning. Now they got all the ties out, and they had fellas chipping some of the rust out, and then they had this one fella with the broom sweeping. And he was going across to the other side. I said, I'll follow him. Well, I walked out there about 7 or 8 paces, and I looked down, and the water's moving. I stopped. I backed up nice and slowly. I couldn't do it. It's quite a height, you know, but the water rippling maybe, I don't know. But so now, then they would paint, put black paint on it, or red lead or whatever, and then they put the ties back together and the rail. And the train that's supposed to be out of there like in the morning, I mean the 10 o'clock train out of here, which was advanced, he got set back a couple hours. And now it was my duty to give him permission to come across about 1 o'clock. Well, the first day come across, I was in between the piers, and we had a cockeyed engineer by the name of Rudy Fredericks. He looked that way, and he looked that way. It's called cockeyed. He was a good engineer, but fast. He was fast. When he come across with the diesels, you know, nice, 12 miles an hour, but now when he got off the bridge, he opened it up, and away he went, and that bridge vibrated in between the piers, scared the daylights out of me. Wednesday, when I knew he was coming, now he went to New Haven, now he come back. Now Wednesday's his turn to come back again. I headed for a pier. It wasn't as bad there, but that bridge vibrated. You know, the pipes and everything rattling. It was kind of scary. So, but I worked out on the bridge other times with the work train, but replacing water in the fall of the year when they would shut down the water on the bridge, the pipes. They have a work train leave Maybrook with a couple tanks full of water, a couple boxcars full of 50-gallon drums and pails, and sand, and calcium chloride cars. They would mix it somehow or other, calcium chloride with the water. They put the 50-gallon drums out on the bridge. The drums were there, but if they were in bad shape, they would, if they leaked or something, they would replace new ones in, and they'd put so many pails of calcium chloride in with the water in case of fire. Penn Central come along, they did away with all that, of the calcium chloride trains, the water on the bridge. The guys, the 24 hours, they had a bridge walker go back and forth, fire watch with the clock, you know, punching the key clock or whatever it is, to Highland back and forth. Of course, Penn Central did away with all those things. And eventually the bridge caught a fire with no protection. Well, it was too late. That was the end of it. May 8th of 1974. That was the end of the bridge. That was the end of the traffic for Maybrook. And eventually Maybrook shut down.